So this is take 14. Great. Okay, so today what I'm going to talk about, or this week's topic, stems from Steven Strogatz's book Chaos, specifically the chapters Synchronized Chaos and Small World Networks. This topic is particularly interesting to me because both of these chapters, and in fact the book and everything Strogatz has written, relates to his extensive work in the applied mathematics and other related fields. I'm really excited. As you can see, I've got math going on behind me. And as a math major here at Towson, I found the articles fascinating for their own sakes, and I'm excited to try to explain to you why math is so fascinating in a way that won't bore you to tears. So, Chaos is really focused on trying to derive patterns from various incredibly complicated series in order to perhaps deduce a way to make the world better in some various means, including for the sake of knowledge. Basically, it's research. And one important part of synchronized chaos is the discovery that systems that have been too complicated to analyze, i.e. break down into its components, and that heretofore have been unable to be, worked with at all, and were thus called chaos, they actually obeyed their own set of rules. Chaos could sync or synchronize. And so I'm going to make the obvious analogy because this is a Jewish blog and I have to make it, but from a Jewish perspective and most religious perspectives, what this discovery means is that all of God's creations follow their own set of rules, whether or not we are wise enough to discern them. Lately, however, we have been finding new ways to understand some mysteries of the world. Unfortunately, as usually happens in research, decades of work on the subject of using chaos as a means of sending and receiving private messages, while successfully utilizing chaos in general and making tremendous strides on the study of chaos, left the cryptography world unperturbed. At the time of the printing, which was 2003, chaos had not become an effective means of relaying secret messages. To bring what the goal was into a different light, we're going to compare the goal of encryption using chaos to Rambam's 8-rung ladder of charity. The ladder was Rambam's way of ranking the charity from rung 8, being begrudging and humiliating the recipient, all the way up to the holiest, rung 1, giving money, a loan, or your time to get someone to be self-reliant. Now, let's say that the donor is the person sending the message, and the recipient is the one receiving the message. In a best-case scenario, the donor can get the recipient the information completely secure, and this will help the recipient be self-reliant because no one else will know what the message said. Generally, the only guarantee, however, is if you do this face-to-face, which is not useful if you're trying to send a message in the field and you can't see them face-to-face. So, the second rung is when neither the donor nor the recipient know each other's identity, right? Like when you give charity and you don't know who it's going to, and the person who receives it doesn't know it came from you. And this would mean that even if someone was to hack the message, they wouldn't be able to tell who it came from or where it was going. And information without context is useless, so this would be secure. However, the rung that the chaos method of encryption is in the neighborhood of is rungs 5 and 6. Giving information cheerfully after being asked for it by the recipient, and giving the information without being asked. In these cases, both the donor and the recipient are known, and someone reading the waves would know who sent the information and who received it, and with a little digging, could figure out how much the donation was and what the information was. Basically, it's useful because the recipient's getting it, but it's public, and its use as method and form of espionage. It could be embarrassing in a charitable situation. Information about the rungs was found on Charity.wmv with the article title of 8 Rungs of the Giving Ladder. Now let's take a look at the second chapter I got to read, Small World Networks. This chapter starts out with the anecdote about the theory of the 6 degrees of separation. The 6 degree of separation theory is that every single person can be individually connected to every other single person in the world via a chain of at most 6 people who know each other on a first-name basis. In a world of 6 billion people, that's pretty incredible and hard to believe. So let's go over some quick vocab. A network or system is a set of points or people or name any adjective that are connected via links or synapses or some other such means. So a small world is a world that allows this degree of separation, which is technically called the average path length, to be very small. And a cluster means that there's a group of people that have a very high overlap of connectivity between them. Like a group of friends will have many friends in common. And if you don't believe that, just check Facebook. And if you're still confused about, just check Facebook if you're still confused about the concept about friends having friends in common. Okay, I'm almost done with the technical talk. The primary point I want to talk about in this chapter is that these networks or systems can have a very low average path length, be a small world, but still maintain a highly clustered state. So the network's going to be thoroughly connected, but most of the objects are only connected in like these little clusters. Proving this empirically was actually a giant breakthrough. So what does this mean and why does this matter? Sticking with the charity theme, there is a large debate about where to donate to. Do you donate at home? Do you donate to cancer research, to Israel, to Africa? Like, who should get the money? In the Talmud, it's taught that you should give to first your neighborhood, then your town or city, state, country, Israel. Well, Israel wasn't a time of Talmud, but now they say Israel. And you give to those that are closest to you at home, both religiously and physically. However, what this discovery is doing is shrinking the size of the world while enlarging the concept of a community. If everyone in the globe is connected, much closer than we had previously imagined, we're connected to every child in Africa, every businessman in China, every housewife in Denmark, and every grandmother in India. If I was of a mind to preach, I would say that we are thus equally obligated to provide the charity we can afford to anyone in the world who may be in need. Since I don't get graded on my ulterior motives, I will just leave with a final thought. Math and chaos and charity are also more closely connected than anyone could have imagined even 75 years ago. And thanks to the work by Strogatz and his contemporaries and students and mentors, mysteries are being solved even as questions are being raised. But the world is certainly a smaller place than we had previously thought. That's all, and I'll see you next week.